Howdy there, Chimp Champ. Welcome back to One Great Manga, where hopefully you are having a fantastic day today. And today, we're having another discussion topic. And this time we're doing Kaguya-Sama, Love is War, Volume 1. Let's jump into this. Oh my word. Let's go! So, Kaguya-Sama, Love is War. What is it about? It is a series about two characters, Kaguya and Shirogane, who like each other, but they don't want to tell the other one they like each other. So what they do is they play mind games to try to get the other one to get best first, and obviously hijinks ensues. This is usually due to characters who either like stop them, like, hey, what's up? You know, like they'll throw in like a third wrench trying to like mess them up, or their thoughts just overpower and they just don't say anything, or they fail miserably. And it's just such a good feel-good series, and it has so many laughs. And this first volume does exactly what it needs to tell you what's going on. So, these kids are a part of the student council. The student council is pretty much just like a thing. It's kind of like a manager's position of the school. They're like, okay, well, we need you to do this stuff to help the school do better for the students. So that's what their job is. That really doesn't play too much of a part of what the story is or what they do. Besides, like, sometimes they'll have to like go and help out the school, like set up like a event or something. And it helps flesh out the characters. These two characters are stupidly smart, and which makes it all the more funny that they cannot figure out how to get the other one to confess. They're both pretty sure that that the other one likes them, but they're not exactly sure 100%, so they're not going to tell them, or they're not going to ask, you know. It's just, oh my word, so great. So this one right here comes with a couple stories. So the first one it goes over is a movie theater. So they are trying to get the other ones to go to the movie theater with them because they got 2 tickets. Shirogane has the 2 tickets, and Kaguya obviously wants to go as a date. What happens is it doesn't work out, so neither of them end up going to the movies in this one. So what ends up happening is they go to so what ends up happening is they have an old maid match in the second chapter, and the winner gets to do whatever the other person wants, anything they please. And Shirogane wins, and he decides that he wants to take her to the movies, but he isn't going to tell her that. What he decides to do is that Chika has tickets to this comedy series, and he's like, well, I'm going to take one of these tickets. You could do whatever the heck you want with the other one. I'm not saying you have to go, and I'm pretty sure you want to go, but I'm not going to say anything about it. You know, he's like, I'm not saying anything about it. So once they get there, they're like, oh shoot, oh crud, how will we know which seat to get so we can sit together? Like this is how like up in their head they are. Like, they just can't ask, hey, where are you sitting at? You know, or anything like that. No, they have to like be overthinking retards. It's so freaking funny. Cause you're like, just talk, and they're like so realistic on what they say and what they do. It's just so freaking hilarious. Like, oh my goodness, if I go up to them, they'll show I have weakness and all that stuff. I'm like, good grief, just talk to them. And it's just so funny watching their outcome, because they learn every time. They're like, well, crap, I should have just asked them. And then, you know, next time they'll do a little bit better at that. And what ends up happening is that they sit very far away because they mistake signals that the other one gives them. And it's just so freaking great. Love it so much. The next one they do is, like, they do this, like, a riddle game, which is kind of it's fine. Nothing crazy, but it's still super funny, but nothing to really write home about. Then the next one after that one, chapter 7, I believe, they go and they talk about the food. They have their food, and one of them wants the other one's food. Like, oh my goodness, that looks delicious. My goodness, his food, so quaint, so basic. She's like, I've never had that type of food before. She's like, I want to try it. So she has to somehow figure out a way how to get her to eat the food, right? So eventually Kaguya does get to try out the food. That's only after putting herself through the mental gymnastics, calling her best friend. She has to go through mental gymnastics, trying to like figure out the situation, and getting incredibly jealous of Chika because she simply just asks, "Oh, can I try the food out?" And he's like, "Sure, go ahead." She's like, "Oh my goodness, that's so good." And then she's like all mad at her because she tried out the food or whatever. And at the end, Chica does give her the food, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't mean to be that mean with a friend or whatever." It's just so much fun just watching the characters bounce off each other. It's just so great. And Chica does a fantastic job at this. Chica is like a third player in this whole thing. It's like a bomb under a table. You're just like, oh, is Chica going to show up in this one? Is Chica going to mess this up? Is Chica going to make the situation a little bit more odd than it needs to be? You know, it's like, is this person going to show up, mess it up? And it just adds a level of complexity and like, is this going to happen? Or is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? I don't know. It leaves you on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh, okay, what's going on? What's going to happen? You know? And that's such a beautiful thing for a series like this. And it's so much fun. Oh, my word. So the next one, they decide to figure out their own summer trip. And one of them wants to go to the forest, and the other one goes to the beach, both for opposite reasons. So Kaguya wants to go to the beach to show off her bathing suit, and Shirogane wants to go to the forest because he can't swim. And what ends up happening is now they get their way, and Fujiwara gets their way, and they go on the trip there. But the trip is never shown in the actual series, which is fine. It's just wasn't expecting that. Another chapter they go through, and they just Shirogane, of all dudes, the dude who cannot ask a girl out is asked relationship advice. And it's so freaking funny because he obviously has a plan and he obviously is able to do it. He just can't get over the mental gymnastics to do it, and that shows it. Shows that he's confident in himself, he knows what he's doing, and he can do it. It's just he can't do it right now. And I feel like as we get later into the series, he will eventually confess, or one of them will confess. It's very obvious, but like, oh my word, I cannot wait for that moment. Anyway, next chapter is playing a yes or no game, where they have this idea of a person in their head, and then the other person can ask questions, and the person who's got the answer in their head can only answer with yes or no. And with that, they must deduct who it is. So Kaguya comes up with this idea where she's like, okay, I'm going to make it sound like me, but it's actually about the dog. But I'm going to make it look like it's actually me by blushing and like, you know, doing hand signals and all that stuff. So the whole time you're like, oh my goodness, she put herself up there. She's like, okay, so this is what's happening. So he's going to eventually like, right when you think it's going to happen, you're like, oh, Kaguya has got him where she wants him. Shirogane is going to say it, and it's all going to be amazing. And then Shirogane is like, it's the dog. And she's like, yep, it's the dog. And she's like all defeated and disappointed. And it's super fun, super great. And then I believe the final chapter, let me check real quick. The final chapter revolves around Kaguya being late to school. And that is because she sees this kid who is lost and asks for help. And she, you know, at first is like, I don't know. And eventually she gets around to, like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. And then she does it. She's like, dang nabbit, I miss Shirogane on the walk home. This sucks. And I'm late for school. This is just bad or whatever. And then as she's saying all this, Shirogane comes on a freaking bike late to school. And he's like, and she's like, Shirogane sees her and he's like, get on the bike, you're late. And she's like, oh, you're asking me to get on the bike? He's like, shut up, get on the bike, you're going to be late. It doesn't matter. And she's like, oh my goodness, she blushes, it's great. Oh my goodness, it's one of my favorite scenes in this whole volume. And man, this book is so good. This is a fantastic first volume and a fantastic series in general. You could read this by itself as like a one-off series, or if you want to continue, which you probably will if you read the first volume and love it, you could continue with the series, which is, I believe, volume 18 at the moment. And this series is just amazing, and I love everything about it. The characters, what they do, how they act, how realistic it is to the situation that they're in, being teenagers, not understanding their emotions. It's just all so freaking great. But yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions on Kaguya-Sama Volume 1. What are your thoughts and opinions of Kaguya-Sama Volume 1? If you have read it, I would love to hear your opinion on it. Do you think these two characters should get together? Do you have a different pair? Do you think Kaguya and Shirogane are great characters? What do you like about them? What do you like about the series? What do you dislike about the series? What do you think of the art style, the paneling? What do you think in general? I really enjoyed the faces too. The characters' faces are just so freaking great. What do you think of the artwork, the characters, all that jazz? I'd love to hear it. And with that, my friend, thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day, my beautiful, beautiful Chimp Champ. And go out there and read some manga, my friend.